Hello guys, and welcome to a new Still Division 2 video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I have for you a 3 versus 3 on Brest West, and I'm going to be using the new NOV division, which is the Liberation Army of Yugoslavia on the balanced deployment type. So this was played on stream. Do make sure to come along and check out my stream at twitch.tv/VulcanHDGaming. I do play Still Division often on Wednesdays and Sundays around 8 PM BST at the moment. And yeah, it's good fun, so definitely come check it out. I also do other stuff on Tuesdays and Thursdays as well on my stream, so yeah, definitely worth coming along. Either way, let's have a quick look at the troops going down. So I am going to absolutely be butchering these names, so just pre-warn. But we have here, first of all, the Konjichki Izvidachi, I believe is how you pronounce that. These are some really strong recon squads. They've got a double Breda, which probably doesn't sound great, but because it's an automatic rifle, it can fire within the 100-meter range. And then they also have Molotovs, so pretty strong squad. Then we got the Borsi and the L6 with a 50mm AT gun following up on that left side. Over here we've got the Jureshnitsi, the Bombashi, and some Kasanti. I've also got the OSS leader. This OSS leader is actually an American leader. These are Americans that have come over to help the cause. And then some more Jureshnitsi, Kasanti, another leader. And then I've got some of these blinders. These are the auto blinders with the 20mm gun, as well as these Zon Ballisti. So that's what we have to start with. And I'm going to be pushing into this forest on the right hand side. My opponent is going to end up being Potato Prophet. He is playing with the first Lovash. Now this is a reasonable matchup for this division because his division basically relies mainly on infantry, and we want to be relying mainly on infantry, so it kind of matches up quite nicely. If there was sort of like a more open ground, whereas up against an armoured division, that would obviously be a bad matchup. Close range, though, that would actually be a good matchup, so I guess it really depends. But in this case, it's not too bad. The first Lovash, yes, it has some very good infantry, but it doesn't have much specialized close range infantry that's actually good. It has like Hasarok, has like the Hasagoyo Soroshok, which are like the good longer range ones with the triple machine gun. But in terms of like super close range engagements, we do have the upper hand, so that's good. You can see the Bombashi here. They have the explosives, which are a little bit worse, I believe, than normal TNT. Then they have Molotovs with the Jureshnitsi, and the Konjichki Izvidachi have the Molotovs as well. So Molotov infantry, especially with Berettas even, are pretty nice, so I'm going to be making good use of those. I do also have these Zon Ballisti, which are Piat squads, and we'll see how they perform. Today you'll learn the reason why I have an exclamation mark Piat command both in my Discord and on my Twitch channel. So the Jureshnitsi going to be engaging the Hasarok. You can see at close range, absolutely destroying them. The Berettas plus the Molotovs, easy peasy, job done. And then I'm going to be using the auto blinder to engage the Hasarok, or the Hasagoyo Soroshok there. Also got the Konjichki engaging as well with their double Breda. And yeah, this Breda 30 is an automatic rifle. If it ever says automatic rifle here, what that means is it can be fired within the 100-meter range. If it says machine gun, then it can't. I don't think there's any example that I can show you right now, but something like an MG34 wouldn't be able to be used at close range. So at the moment, not too bad. We have just about got presence over this flag. I brought up this Borsi so that they can move up into this position, but I just kind of hadn't done that yet since I've been focusing on the engagements against Potato over here. So my Kasanti, here they are, all my Yugoslavian troops, pushing up the hill, backed up by the leader. I do have to come back off the hill here a little bit, but we do manage to take out the Rohamakasok with the Konjichki, which was really good. A really nice thing about Molotovs is they can often throw before the flamers reload. In this case, my Molotov was on reload, so we didn't get a chance to throw the Molotov. But yeah, in most cases, the Molotov will help you kill off the smaller flamer squads. A 50mm gun here, going to be taking out the Turan 2. Meanwhile, Focke-Wulf bombing strike coming in. Does manage to force back my Jurisnidze, but the Bombashi here and the Kasanti to get the surrender, so that's very good. The Blinder going to be engaging the Hasselhock and helping wipe them out. At this sort of range, Hasselhock can be very good because they do have their 13 rifles, but when they're outnumbered like this, it's not great. Focke-Wulf 190 F8 now coming in from Potato, going to be bombing my Bombashi. But the Turan 2 is going to be getting in line of sight of my 50mm again. I'm looking to take that out. Unfortunately, the Auto Blinder going to go down after my second shot from the 50mm bounced. I was going to try and get my P out forwards, but the Hasiguya Sorachok on this hill going to be preventing that for the time being. We're currently 15 to 13. I've managed to just about hold on to these two flags, which would be at the 50-50 pretty much. But now, in order to kind of like cancel out this lead that the opposing team have, I really should try and get up on this hill ASAP. And maybe we can eventually go for this flag on the far left. Because going for this flag further down is much closer to the spawn, so it's actually harder to take. I do bump into the AA. I spotted this AA pretty early on because I did bring in the Mustang to try and shoot down some of their aircraft, but the 40M definitely pushed us off quite easily. This is a really strong AA piece, and it also has, I love the way every time I zoom in it disappears, it has 75mm of penetration, so against light tanks it can actually just demolish them quite well at range, so you do have to be a little bit careful. The great thing about the AP shells, though, from my perspective in this game, is that they only have the 10% accuracy, so yeah, we have that going for us. Anyway, Partops are arriving. What's a Partop? Partop, you might ask. Well, it's a two-man squad with like an explosive warhead that can be like launched like a Piat towards an enemy. So here what I'm doing is trying them out. They have 10 damage, HE damage. So I'm hoping that it can like do some serious damage against this Turan and actually kill it off. So I've just used that one, going to be fine the other one, and well, it pretty much did nothing. So I'm in a bit of a predicament. This Partop actually surviving pretty well, but ultimately they take so long to reload, like it's 2 rounds per minute. So you have to kind of like use them and then run away, which means that the only like actual use of the Partop is probably in light cover, where you can like poke forwards, fire position, and then fall back. But they can't even like indirect fire, so at the moment these Partops are really not that great. I wouldn't recommend bringing them. Anyway, nice bombing strike again from the Focke-Wulf, going to be taking out the Bombashi this time. It does not get shot down by my Mustang, but I'm going to be having 2 Marauders come in, looking for the bombing strikes. One of them does get panicked, the other one is actually going for the bombing strike directly onto the 40M. If I can start killing off this AA, then I'll be able to use these Marauders a lot more in the future. Unfortunately, the second bomb doesn't quite land on target, so we're not able to take out the enemy AA for now. But in the middle, the Turan's making some ground for Potato, and we're going to want to plug that gap sooner than later. So I do have some more Fiat squads on the way. Meanwhile, on the left, not too much happening. My recon here can see that there's not really too much ahead. I should have been moving up this infantry squad sooner so that we could cap this, because currently our team's at 18 to 10 for the enemy, which is really bad. Like, if we continue at this rate, we're going to lose in 11 minutes and 30 seconds. So we are definitely against the clock, and I am going to want to try and take some flags ASAP. Focke-Wulf coming in again for the bombing strike. This time it actually takes out both the Partops. I think by accident. It was probably just fire positioned into the tree line to try and damage some of my other squads, but end up killing 2 of my poor Partops, which is really sad. Blinder does take out the 40M. I was actually quite lucky that the 40M didn't get a shot on target. Even with 10% accuracy, I'm the sort of player that's always going to go against, so yeah, I was lucky to get away with that. But Mustang going to be coming in there with a head-on against the Focke-Wulf 190 F8. This F8 does have a couple of cannons, so got to be a little bit careful of those head-ons, but going to have a bit of time now to get on the tail of the Focke-Wulf. Unfortunately though, the Mustang kind of just having a hard time and not going to be able to do anything this time around. Now I'm going to start to get off-mapped here. My opponent did bring in a Focke-Wulf with the 210mm off-map, and that's going to be smashing me on this hill. Meanwhile, my Pia already missed a shot onto the Turan. Thankfully, hits the second shot. It actually had a lot less accuracy the second time round, because base accuracy is 50%, and then you got to take in mind that it is pinned down slightly. So yeah, that was actually a pretty lucky second shot. It could have very well missed again quite easily. So now we have Kasanti and the Konjichki Idvidachi up against the Hazarok, and these Kasanti, I'm not sure what I think about them. I don't know if they're really necessary. Like this M42, I believe it's like very similar to the Thompson in terms of like damage and accuracy. So that's why I'm using them, but I'm not sure if they really perform well enough at close range without something like, you know, Molotov in order to warrant them being brought in instead of a unit that does have a close range engagement tool. Here comes some more infantry, the Bombashi, the Borsi. And I've also now got two S-35s on the way, the most premium of tanks, with the Yugoslavian flag on the side. My light armor coming into play. Borsi have found 40M, so going to be trying to take that out, but with the Hazagoya Sodachok breathing down their neck with the triple machine gun, well, they're not going to last too long. Another Hazarok going to get popped here on the right. Ideally, in that situation, you want to turn off the Molotov so you don't waste it. In this case, it doesn't matter too much. I'm currently now just waiting to make a little bit of play on the right hand side. You can see I brought up some more recon infantry so I can see what I'm pushing into. And my S-35s are actually pushing up the ridge to try and secure it, this flag in particular. Every time I was moving up my infantry here, I should have definitely moved up my 50 mils probably as well, just so that they were in position to help against any armoured support that came in. And speaking of which, here comes Potato with his 2-round-1s, and I'm looking to hopefully win that engagement, but with my S-35 actually bouncing the Turan, well, they're both going to go down, and the bombing strike onto these two units definitely helped massively. And the main thing I really want to do here is take out this 40M. Killing this is super important because it's one less AT going to have to deal with when I'm bringing in reinforcements. So killing those, pretty damn important. Off map now going to be coming down, cleaning up the leader on the right hand side. And now I just have this OSS leader on the left hand side. And the Turan's trying to come across there, but are going to get taken out. And my S-35s really didn't make the cut. I think in general the S-35s and light armor is really useful for taking on enemy infantry mostly, like Potato's kind of trying to do with his Turans. The Turans are actually pretty good against killing infantry because they even have a little bit of extra armor than your standard tanks, and they are very cheap. So yeah, Focke-Wulf 190 going to be coming in, looking for the bombing strikes on the Jurasnitsi. I do split them, trying to get this Jurasnitsi into the cover here so that I can eventually Molotov the Hazagoya Sodachok on the next push upwards. 50 mil though, getting away with another strike onto the Turan. I was really expecting at some point the Focke-Wulf 190 or the Recon bomber to come in and deal with my AT guns, because this division, or at least how I built it, is very limited on AT. It's so reliant on infantry AT to get things done. So in this case, we now have the Proletari. Now these Proletari, these have Panzerfausts, and that's super important right now because it's going to allow me to finally deal with the Turans effectively. I think I since edited the deck so that it had Proletarian Phase A, so that we had Panzerfaust on our infantry from the start. Because during this game, there was a couple of times when I was in position with infantry to potentially like ambush with a Panzerfaust, but I just didn't have an AT weapon to do it, so not ideal. I also should really, you know, get this unloaded so that I can stop this Focke-Wulf from getting too much free information. Like recon planes at the moment, pretty strong, and Potato here making good use of it to find out where my stuff is. So Turan getting really close, and you can see the Proletari there, able to use their Panzerfaust to take that out, so that's a big win for me. Asugo Sodashuk are going to be coming under fire from the Kasanti and the Proletari. I've also got the Commandeer under attack, but not able to do too much as it only has 4 Kar 98s and 4 Stens. Unless it's like close up, probably not going to win. And technically it would win against like a Asugo Sodashuk at close range, because you'd have the 4 Stens and the 8 Kar 98s against what would just be like the 43M and the Fegs, because the Solothurn cannot be fired within 100 meter range due to being a machine gun. But going for another part op, even though they are incredibly inefficient. Just going to accompany my troops with it onto the top of the hill. I did manage to secure this eventually with the Borsi, and I'm now trying to do the same in the center here with this one and the L6. And meanwhile I am also contesting on the right hand side. My Jodesnitsi do end up getting the Molotov down, and we get the surrender onto the Asugo Sodashuk, which is a big win. But now he's got another one, so not so big win. Taking that hill would be really useful because it gives overwatch on this flag. So what you can do is you can put like lots of support weapons up here and just help clean this out. But it requires me to actually have control of it, and at the moment I do not, because my Jodesnitsi are going to get found and killed off. And with that done, you can see I changed course of a couple of these units to Jodesnitsi heading over to these trees, and I've got the Borsi heading up to the top of the hill to be fodder for my S35 in order to take them out. Some more Jodesnitsi, more Borsi, more Proletari, and just building up and up and up and up and up. One beautiful thing about all this infantry is like the Proletari is 20 points, the Borsi I believe is 20 points. Where is it? There we go. Borsi, Proletari, the Jodesnitsi. They're all 20-point units, and that's really nice for the economy. So S35 on this hill, doing a pretty good job right now. Going to definitely be hard for my opponent to surrender these if I have the tank here, so he's just trying to kill them off at the moment with those machine guns, and I'm trying to return the favour with the S35 before he does kill those 2 squads. Another one going to come out of the woodwork though, and does take them out. That's unfortunate. Meanwhile on the hill, going to be taking out another Asugo Sodashuk. Was that the leader? And yeah, but either way, some decent engagements ongoing, and with the S35 support here, I will be able to take the advantage at range. One more Proletari on the way. You see that's like 1 tick's worth of Proletari. But the double Marauders going to be trying again. There is a lot of AA though. And the closer you get, the more harsh it is, so I don't know if I wanted to stay over target, so I decided to pull it away. I'm hoping that it can get back out again. And here comes more off map. This is turned out to be the 105mm off map that the Lovash get. Not many people actually use it, but in this case it did pin me down pretty well. And when it direct hits, it does chunk quite a bit. So you can see there, yeah, all of these units pinned down. Thankfully no Hasago Sodashok on the edge of the tree line to mow down on my units. I would have had to definitely fallen back. But so far so good. More proletari arriving. More proletari on the right hand side. With another leader. It says commandeer, but it is in fact just a leader. It's not my commander. Now I'm going to be seeing some troops coming up onto the right hand side. My 50mm is going to be engaging them. Does manage to take out one for me, which is really good. I've also managed to get on top of this 40M AT gun, which is very nice. Furthermore, the AT gun that I managed to get on the hill on the left is also going to be shooting at a lot of these vehicles. Oh, Blinder there, taking out another Turan as well. Oh, you gotta love it when you see the Blinders with the 20mm auto cannons taking out those tanks. It's really, really good for us. Hasago Sodashok going to go down. Hasadok, I think, are the last ones standing in our way, really, of capping. There's also the 40mm AT gun, but yeah, these guys have got to go, and then we can sweep up through these units, maybe towards this flag. Unfortunately, bit of red mist there, as one of my troops does go down, but my commander stays alive, which is good. I'm now going to be able to continue to use my, well, not commander, but leader, to provide the extra veterancy onto these units, because I did end up bringing in a commander early on. That's going to allow us to maintain all of this lovely 2-vet. Assuming that all of my other leaders don't die. Anyway, artillery coming in once more. It's going to force me to unload my Kasanti early. I'm just going to be pushing them back into that forest and seeing how far we can get. So S-35 still doing a lot of work. It's pretty much out of HE ammo. As soon as it is out of HE ammo, which it is now, then, you know, the Mach 31 is the only thing it can use to fire. So, yeah, not ideal. Anyway, we've made a ton of ground now, and it's back to 14-14, which is good. Proletari on the right, though, going to get smashed by the Nimrod. Meanwhile, from the hill, my Blinder and S-35 are hoping to get rid of the 40mm. If I can get rid of this 40mm, then it opens up the bombers a little bit, and potentially any other anti-armor planes maybe that I want to bring in, because we do have the Hurricanes. So that's one thing that I would want to clear the AA up for. But as I move around here, Nimrod actually takes out my tank. But I do have my infantry here that can pay the bill on the on the 40. Take it out, there we go. Lovely. And the Konjichki is Vidachi going to be engaging the Hazarok here. Great stuff. And meanwhile on the left, Blinder's going to be helping pin down Hasago Sodashok, and I'm going to be sending a bunch of units in this direction now. So I figured that it'd be really hard for me to continue pushing onto this flag, because the Hasadok and Hasago Sodashok, as long as they're like maintaining this veterancy and fighting me at range, I'm in a really bad spot. Like my Proletari, they do have like MG34s, but we're going to need like 2 MG34s really per squad in order to like challenge a 3-star Hasadok or Hasago Sodashok. So I thought it'd be better if I just kind of use the close range engagement to get close to this flag, and then I have an advantage at close range using things like the Bombashia here. A big line of fire coming in from the hill now. I unfortunately lose my Piet there. Would have been really nice to have to deal with the approaching tanks. The L6 is helping at least. And we're going to be able to take out another Hostadog squad. But now here comes the artillery. And the 50mm that I have here on the left. It does manage to take one Turan 2 with it, but at the end of the day, it does go down. So Proletary, it's kind of getting bogged down a little bit by the Turan 2s. There's also like sporadic off map here that really wasn't helping. OAC did bring over a 37, which was nice of him. He helps out a bit. Here comes the Focke-Wulf with the bombs. Does that have bombs? I think it does. It's just maybe my AA did it in time. Here comes the Hurricane Mark IV. I love these planes. They look really cool. They aren't the most resilient though. Like, it says that they are medium resilience, but I think with the buff to some of the Axis AA in the latest patch, they're not actually as good as they once were. And by buffs I mean mainly to flak filling, so in this game it doesn't matter. But yeah, something to bear in mind. JU8 coming out of Potato, looking for the bombing strikes onto my planes here. Now my Hurricane's not going to even make it close to the Jagdpanzer as it gets forced off by the AA. Should probably come in from the right because there's going to be generally less AA on this right hand side. But in the moment you don't really think about those things. In the centre here, Potato did end up pinning my Borsi, and I'm trying to now push that flag instead. So we're kind of playing a little back and forth here. Me and Potato, he was playing very well, being quite annoying. Check this out. The triple Hurricane. I have a lot of these Hurricanes on my deck. I think I have like 10 of them. And they all have these 40mm Vickers cannons. So they can really do a lot of damage to heavier tanks. And the issue, of course, is where there's tanks, there's usually AA. And I'm going to be targeting the AA directly. We're looking for that cheeky kill, and we do manage to find it, which was really good, as that's going to allow for even more airplay. If our bombers respawn, we're going to be able to use them, etc. So, yeah, really nice. Proletarian now engaging the Hasugo Solar Shock. Still sitting at the 14-14, trying to hold on. Unfortunately, I think J-Dog was having a little bit of a hard time here, and some of the flags in the middle were contested for a while. Thankfully, we are doing pretty well this far up, but will it last? Because we're very close to the enemy spawn. That's the main question. Hurricane coming in. And goodbye Jagdpanzer 38T. This one also takes out the Turan for us. I'm pretty much just removing as much armour as possible so that my infantry can continue to move forwards. And the main deal here is basically trying to get rid of this Veltro. We do get the Mustangs in right on time just to take him out. And now we have an order to kill both of those, the Focke-Wulf 190 F8 and the F110. Alright, let's keep moving these up. So these are moving up on that left side. We've got the S-35 supporting a push of the Proletari up against the Hasarok. And having all of this light armor is actually quite important. You don't get a lot of it though. A nice kill actually by the OAC's 37 does kill off that heavy fighter. Both of my Mustangs, they're okay, they're going to get out for now. But look at this, in the meantime Potato has brought in a bunch of Hasselhock, again at 3 vet. I probably should have assumed that there wasn't any leader here, so it's probably downhill somewhere, providing a big bonus. Did manage to just take out another Focke-Wulf. This Partop is actually not too bad. It does seem to perform pretty well against aircraft. I've seen it shoot down a reasonable few now. Right, Proletary looking for the kill onto the Turan 2. I should have definitely got my commander off the hill. Currently trying to run down into the valley. Well, here we go again. Hurricane's going to be taking out the Nimrod. The B-26 actually ended up helping revealing it by just being there. And now that it's dead, well, we can just wait till that finishes falling back and bring it back round for a bombing strike. That's what we're looking forward to. However, it does keep dropping back to 15 to 13 in the enemy's favour. And that means that we only have like 4 or 5 minutes left. But regardless, Hurricane's coming in again. We're going to be taking out the Turan. And this one is going to be taking out the L6s on that right flank. I was really hoping to keep line of sight here, because if we don't have line of sight, they won't use their cannons. So I do have to be very careful of that. Be a complete waste of time pushing them in for those gun runs. But as you see now, well, Crow's come over with a few units. Admittedly, he is playing the other new division in the DLC, the Unternehmen Rosselsprung. I'm going to be trying to take out some of his transports. I do manage to pick off one and unloaded 2 of these Ustesh early, so that wasn't bad. His Mustangs, yeah, one of them is going to go down. Hurricanes have to fall back since they're both fully pinned. And this is not a place where the Mustang wants to be. It is getting constantly arseed. And it is going to get shot down. Or AA. Hit by AA. I meant to say. Right, Pionieri going to get surrendered there. Bombing strike's going to get rid of the other one. These Ju-88s definitely became a pain since I hadn't unloaded this other AA piece. It happens to the best of us, guys. It really does. I don't think I unloaded that for the entire game. Anyway, at the moment, 3 minutes left. And yeah, you can see how my initial infantry engagement went pretty well. As long as I can get in close range, I beat First Lovash every time. It's just that as soon as these engagements start taking place at longer ranges, that's when it really hurts. So you can see here when he's stood in this tree line and I'm in this tree line and we're firing across, he has a huge advantage against me there. So we don't really want to be taking those engagements. And one thing I didn't have in my deck at this point, which I've since added, is mortars. So I will be able to smoke in future, which I think is going to be absolutely crucial for this deck. The other thing that was not the same in this deck is the infantry tab. Like, I've changed the infantry tab quite a bit so that I have the proletarian phase A, because I don't want to have to deal with those things like the Turans and these L6s early on without any infantry AT. That would be really bad. So I made sure to have the infantry in there, the proletary, that could fill that role basically, since the Piat is just like super unreliable. But you kind of almost am forced to take the Piat. The Marauder now coming in with its 2 907 kilogram bombs once again. Let's see if it gets close. This was, I think, just a little bit of a test to see how far up I could get with my aircraft. But here comes a lot of AA very quickly, and that tells me he's either got a lot of 20 mils or there's some sort of like flag filling there, because the Marauder does go down very fast indeed. Machine guns opening up from the ridge onto the Hasselhock is very nice. Very really good spot. I really need to take back these flags. So Proletari going to be zooming up. I do manage to unload them pretty quickly. Thankfully the slope there slowed down my trucks pretty fast, so they unloaded pretty much instantly. But meanwhile on the right, going to be losing some more light armor. On the left, I'm going to be trying to push just straight onto this flag, and this is something that people really don't do that often, that they should do more, and that is kind of suicide for flags. I mean, this isn't necessarily suicide. I know that this probably would have already been shot if there was actually AT nearby. I'm just trying to get onto this flag and cap it to stop us losing the game at the moment. I do lose an AT gun up here. That was really bad. My machine gun is now getting wrecked as well. Proletari are trying to beat Hasselhock at the mid-range, which is not really going to happen, especially since they have 3-star veterancy. That was one thing that Potato did really well throughout this game. He used his veterancy very, very nicely. Like 3-star veterancy is just really tough for any of these units to deal with. We're going to have to fall back and think about trying again. I did bring up another MG on this right-hand side, but just so many transport snipes for me over there, which is obviously not ideal. But we actually went up to 15 to 13. Would have probably been much higher if J-Dog had had a better start. Like these 2 flags would have also been in our favour, so we would have been up to something like 17 flags. But with the flags keep switching backwards and forwards, you can see there's now only 20 seconds. That's on a 1 tick for us to sort things out. Proletari, Pionieri up against the Eustache, the L6, and the Proletari on this side up against one of these Hasselhock. And yeah, basically in this sort of situation, I should have been mortaring them, doing something like that, like some sort of indirect fire. I can't really rely too much on my aircraft. You know, I did already lose one of my marauders, so having like more artillery towards the late game here probably would have been the better bet, so that I can push through these troops by pinning them down, pretty much. That's it, 35 minutes, 27 seconds, and honestly, it went a lot better than I thought it would. Against the 1st Lovash, again, 1st Lovash, pretty strong division for like mid-range infantry engagements. I did manage to get on top of him quite well early on, which is where like the Molotovs really come in handy. But yeah, after that, when I was starting to engage him at range through like light cover and like across the open ground, then yeah, things were going downhill. And then all that off map really slowed me down. I didn't actually kill too much, but it definitely made a dent big enough that my squads weren't then effective against his new infantry. So yeah, not bad. We did manage to get most kills, 3,465 kills to 3,345 losses. This sort of KD is actually something I got like almost 3 times when I was playing this on the stream. And it seems pretty consistent that you get slightly more kills than losses. And the reason for that is because you're generally trading units in order to win. You don't really have any like standout units that are going to get like tons of kills, unless it's this 50mm AT gun. But yeah, in general, this sort of thing doesn't happen, right? So that's why you end up trading more than anything. Emerald at the start did manage to get quite a few kills there for me, which wasn't bad. And my 50mm in general did do good, taking out a lot of the Turans, which would have otherwise been annoying. I did manage to get my Mustang to shoot down a couple of aircraft, and the 76mm did manage to take down the Focke-Wulf Recon. But yeah, there you have it. That is the first gameplay of NOV, or the Liberation Army of Yugoslavia. So yeah, really cool. Definitely come back to it at some point. But that's it for now. Hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.